Wow, what a first night and first couple of hours. So much to say, and yet I want to keep it quite concise. I even went as far as attempting to write a script for it, but I feel like talking off the cuff is going to give a better impression as to kind of how my first impressions of this game went off. We're going to start right off the bat with character creation, because it's the very first thing you see in this game, and one of my favorite parts so far. As you're watching before you, you kind of have to choose between four races of human. It's just different factions of humanoids, between CALDARI, AMARR, Minmatar, and GALLENTE, all having their own personal goals. I did a little bit of reading online, probably about 15 minutes, as to really, does this matter? And what I've come to the conclusion of is not really. What I've been told online and whatnot is to basically pick a race that the ships look cool to you, essentially. So I decided to go with the CALDARI. It kind of fits the theme, at the very least, as to what I want my character to be. Moving on after picking that, you have a whole lot of personalization with your character creation, your avatar, which is both kind of cool and kind of sad at the same time. You're basically have free reign over what you want it to look like: haircut, eye color, build, muscle, weight. You really have a very solid and free open range to create the kind of person you have in mind. And I think I came really close to what I wanted to create. I was looking to make somebody who had a relatively aggressive look to him, but not necessarily crazy look. Like, he kind of knows what he wants and isn't afraid to ask for it. I've also read online that you kind of want to make sure that your character looks respectable, because a lot of people are going to see that picture. Now, whether that holds true in this kind of game, I'm not totally sure. You are then, after that, asked to create a photo. You kind of take a picture of the guy, and that's going to basically appear next to your name in all your systems. Again, I was aiming for something that's going to kind of cast shadow on half of his face, where he's looking at the camera with kind of a wry smile. And I really, they allow you to do that. You can pose him in any way you want, turn his head any way you want, has his eyes looking any way you want, make him smile, frown, raise his eyebrows. Again, huge amount of customization when it comes to just something as simple as a photo. Now, the reason I say that's kind of sad is because really, no one's going to see him in action. In fact, the only time you actually see your avatar is when you're docked in a station, and no one is there. It's just you. You're basically in your little personalized room. Now, I guess they have plans to implement something where eventually everybody can kind of walk around with each other. As of right now, the animations are relatively stiff. There's not a lot going on. It basically serves as a very fancy main menu. You can go up to TVs, and they kind of allow you to do different options. You have like a menu when you sit down, like the things to look at. You have a mirror you can look at yourself in. And you can walk up to your ship from here and take a look at your ship, which is hovering in front of you, or at least your active ship at the time. It's very, very, very cool, and I actually like it a lot. Again, it's upsetting that you only have the ability to see your avatar here. But this isn't the game. This isn't the game at all. After you kind of make your character, you're thrust into this world, and immediately tutorial starts. Now, most tutorials are pretty lenient. They kind of take you by the hand. Again, a lot of games do that. And, a lot of people fight for the fact that Eve doesn't take you by the hand and kind of thrust you into this open galaxy. But if Eve wants to succeed, the tutorial needs to be a bit, I guess, more in depth is what I'm going for. But I'm just going to speak about the first couple hours, the basic tutorial laying out the bare bones. The tutorial literally, excuse me, teaches you the basics. It is all about basically teaching how to walk, undock, go from place to place, and loot things. Now, the chat window, basically with this AI that's essentially teaching you these things and basically welcoming you to the galaxy as best she can, does a decent job at telling you how to control things. I felt pretty close to at home to figuring things out relatively quickly once I got in my ship and started flying around. I mean, the first mission, they shove you out into your capsule, which is basically just you in a little pod that can be shot down pretty simply, and they make you go fetch your ship. And then it basically teaches you the basics of docking onto a ship. Say you come across an empty ship or whatever, and you want to dock it. You then take that ship back home, and then it goes through other basic tutorials. Basic fighting, like how to lock onto something, fire at it, how to loot something, how to take things from point A to point B, the essence of Stargates. Again, the description that the AI gives is decent. It's not bad at all. The problem I have with the game so far, and what seems to be the big gateway, is that the UI is basically as bad as it could be. Um, and I say that because a lot of people say EVE Online is essentially Excel spreadsheets with some graphics behind it. And I wouldn't say that they're wrong. They're not necessarily right either, but as you're seeing, behind you as I'm playing and as you're seeing gameplay, there's a lot of text boxes popping up. I've got my mission window, the tutorial window. Underneath that, I've got my inventory. To the left, I got a bunch of buttons, so I don't know what the hell they do. To my right, I've got like a list of stargates to like that are in my vicinity, and I have 2 chat boxes open: my rookie help, my local. The local is just the star system I'm in and people talking. Luckily, there's not a lot going on there. I'm kind of in a newbie area, so I'm assuming I'm in a newbie area, so there's not a whole lot going on there. It's just a lot of information, and it's one of those things that it's very difficult for someone like myself who's never played a game like this to take in all at once. It's going to take a lot of time for me to sit there and just take it all in, absorb it, and be able to understand the information that's put in front of me. Now, I understand the purpose behind it. It's a very technical game. In fact, it's almost like all these text boxes that are popping up in front of me is what my character would be seeing inside the spaceship. And that I'm kind of cool with. I like that idea. I just kind of wish they would bring it out one step at a time. Instead of showing me everything all at once and having all this crap, maybe have a tutorial noob zone where every step of the tutorial, they will introduce and unlock a new button. Maybe instead of having all 9 or 10 buttons to the left-hand side accessible at once, they have 1 or 2, and they explain what they do. Next tutorial, another 1, another 2 unlocked. They go through a small little mission where it explains what they do. Granted, it would lengthen the tutorial, but it would also make it a lot more accessible. I like the idea of, again, feeling like I'm sitting in the spaceship. I have all this information sitting in front of me, like I almost could just reach out, touch it like a touchscreen, and move it all around. It's extremely, extremely detailed, but at the same time, because I'm new, because I'm trying to get into this game and get into this deep, intrinsic world of EVE that I can tell right away is extremely, extremely deep. Having all this in front of me like that it's barring my entry. I'm going to fight through it, though. I fought through it. There was one time I actually had to ask in rookie help where my agent mission tab was, because she literally said, "You've gone through the motions, go open your agent mission tab, we've done this before." And I was like, okay, let me look for it, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, what agent mission tab? So I asked, and they're like, oh, it's in your journal. For someone like me, you might want to repeat, open your journal again. You've done this before, because I've only done it once or twice. Repeat it. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Because with an interface like this, with a UI like this, repetition is going to be 100% mandatory. I can't, for the life of me, remember things when you're basically trying to give me 100 different pieces of information all at once. Now, from what I'm told, the tutorial before this was basically non-existent. This is new, relatively new, and is kind of a gift. And I don't even want to think about what the tutorial used to be. Other things that I like. I love the graphic style. It's very clean. Space feels as empty as it should, but yet as deep and as vast as it could be. This game is huge, and we're going to get into that next video, how big exactly this universe is. I think that's a conversation for next video. The graphic style is crisp. The ship looks freaking great for how old this game is. I'm sure it's gone through many, many graphics updates. It is looking quite good. I really like it. Another high point for me is the music. The music fits the theme of this game phenomenally. It's subtle, quiet, yet very, very, very powerful. It kind of gives a feeling of almost loneliness in this vastness of space, and I think that hits home with, again, what they're trying to do. Again, I haven't run into any players yet, so I can't commentate on how PvP is going to work, how player interaction is going to work outside of the rookie help system. And then outside of that, what essentially happens is at the end of the tutorial, you basically leave the little tutorial station you're at and are sent to a different station. Now, I'm not sure if this other station that I'm sent to is in an area where I'm going to see more players, where PvP could happen. We're yet to see that. What it does do, though, is, as far as I can tell, the tutorial ends and then opens up tutorials, essentially, to other things. It's basically opening up mission agents to each career. Mining, combat, trading, exploration, And that's kind of my next step, which is going to be the next night or two, is be tackling all of these things. As far as I know, when you finish these trees, they give you rewards, like ships and money, kind of get you started, and they're worth finishing. So that's going to be my plan. I'm going to finish everything. Now, I have an idea of what I want my character to do in this universe, and I'm hoping that's what's going to end up happening. But that's where I currently am. Not a lot of action has happened. A lot of information was thrown at me, and thus far, I'd say the description of the game is pretty spot on. It's very difficult to get into. The first hour of the game, and I still feel like I am swimming in a sea without a direction. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. But my hopes have not even come close to being quashed. I think this game is going to be phenomenal. I think this game is phenomenal. And I really do think the players that talk about how great this game is definitely are right. It's just going to be that entry point. So that's going to be my first day. The first hour to 2 hours has definitely been an interesting first couple hours. So I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to just kind of working with the interface more, figuring things out. Speaking of the interface, the last thing I want to hit is that the shortcut keys suck. They suck. Opening up your journal is not J, it's Alt-J. Opening up your inventory isn't I, it's some other button. It's just a weird combination. I'm going to see if I can fix that next time I play. So I hope you guys stick around while I do Experiment Eve. This has been day 1. And, yeah, I would say as difficult as it is, I'm still excited. I'll see you guys next episode.